was doing what's called hey-ho, which is high altitude, high opening.
Okay.
And I jumped out, and there's sort of newish parachutes. And I was on the radio, and I said, look, I'm going to have to cut this away. I can't clear it. It won't open. So I cut that one away, and the reserve was exactly the same. And he said, you're going down quicker than you think you're going down. So he said, completely collapse the parachute.
Rog, aka Roger, send. Roger, tell us about, I don't know, the last 40 years. Tell us about how you got into the military. How did you start off in the military? Because you had to
say I'm over 40.
Yeah, just tell us. Look, I think it's a big question. It's a big question. So many people ask, like, you didn't just do the military. You've done a lot. You've done 20 odd years, but tell us how you got into it. How did you even start?
I didn't join the army, in fact, till I was 21. I had a good upbringing. I mean, my family life was, we weren't scratching our arse, and we wasn't on a council estate or nothing like that. But my parents split up, and I just sort of, as you do, you know, I went down the wrong route sort of thing. And I thought, I've got to do something with my life other than just drinking at weekends and just being a thug sort of thing. So I joined the military in 1985. And
I wasn't born then.
I like to always push the limits a little bit further sort of thing, as the regiment motto is, always a little further. And I went to a specialist unit in the unit I was in quite early on.
So how did you stay? Is that what you started off in? You enrolled into the military?
I went into the military in 85.
Yeah.
And just done normal infantry soldiering in the Royal Hampshires. And then a thing called Close Observation Platoon come up, which is like the elite recce platoon. I thought I'll have a crack at that. I was only 2 years into the military at that stage, and that went well. I went through that. I did that a few times. I went back to training recruits 5 years after I joined the army. I think I accelerated quite quickly at that stage, promotion-wise. Yeah. Part of that might have been because I didn't join till I was 21 anyhow, so I was quite mature. Yeah. I see a lot of people join at 16, 17, and maybe they're not ready for it until they're in their 20s. So I went back and did training recruits in 1990. And then I thought, well, I've always got to, you know, push it limits a little bit further. So I went for selection in 95, start on 95.
So you're 10 years in at this point?
10 years in.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be sort of mature enough and long enough in the military. They don't want somebody fresh out of training to bang you straight to the jungle and on the hills and map reading and all the stuff that goes with it, sort of thing. So I did my selection in 95, got through that.
You say you got through that like it was easy, but what is people, there's this secret world of selection. They see the programs on TV. I've watched it. You watch it. You go, what is selection? It looks hard. It looks grueling.
Well,
how hard is it?
With 280 started my selection.
Yeah.
And I think when we finished and got badged, and this was S.A.S, SBS, there was 12 or 15 left out of the 280.
Yeah, you've been one of them.
Yeah, I was scratched, so I must have hid in the background, sort of thing. You got to play the grey man, sort of thing. But the hills, I didn't have a massive problem with. I went in February. There's like two selections, one in February, so there's a winter one and a summer one. And I thought, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it at the hardest time map reading wise. So I did February when the map reading's horrendous, and I thought, on the good side of that is, if I get through that and do the other bits and pieces you got to, by the time I go on the run and do interrogation, it'll be summer. Yeah, that was a big mistake because it was like blizzards when we was out living next to nothing. So, I mean, that was hard. When I got to the jungle, which is sort of another phase, I felt quite comfortable. I work well in the heat.
What is the jungle? Like, people always think of the jungle like how you watch I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. You see these nice campfires and you say, well, they make it look rough. What is the jungle? I mean, look, I know what the jungle is because you've explained to me what the jungle is, and I was like, no way. What is the jungle?
It is like stinking. Rainforests are like stinking, and you're just absolutely soaking wet all the time.
What, from the rain or humidity? Or
rain and humidity. It rains sort of, you can almost set your clock by certain jungles of rain. I've been to a lot of different jungles and they work slightly differently. It's muddy, so during the day, it's sort of generally it rain maybe in the morning and maybe about 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon when you're sort of setting up camp in the evening. But I feel comfortable in the jungle. It's the heat doesn't bother me. I just enjoyed myself in there. And
I always ask you the question, like, I remember first asking you about, so what do? You sit around your like campfire, do you get your like your little bags and you get your food? Do you get your food out and start cooking and roasting marshmallows and everything? But
there is certain times, because you live in the jungle for a while sort of thing, and there's certain times when it's not downtime, but you don't switch off, but you can actually have and cook 3 or 4 of them. There's times when you can go and cook around. We didn't have a fire. We just have little cookers sort of thing.
So tell me about like a night. I know it gets dark.
It gets very, very dark.
And this is the bit I would struggle with. What did you do when it got dark?
Go to bed.
But you just lay there, no talking.
No talking. You just, because you set your camp up after it gets dark, and then I just lay in my hammock and just like swing and drift off. And it's very noisy at night in the jungle. It's a very noisy place.
No fires,
and that,
no singing Kumbaya around, anything.
No. And because I've gone back and I've taught people in the jungle, and what you have to tell them is if you've been out and you're like in the middle of the jungle, if you want to go to the toilet in the night, you tie a bit of string to your bed and you walk out to the extent of 3 or 4 meters, and then you can follow the string back.
It's that dark.
It's that dark, and people think it's hilarious, and they think, what the hell is he on about? I can easily find my bed,
but you can't.
If you wander out 3 or 4 meters, everywhere looks the same, and it's good because of witch's tin. It's absolutely horrendous. And well, we have had people, not us, and I've trained people, and they didn't believe me, when they've literally had to spend the night and you never sleep on the floor because the insects, they've had to literally sit against a tree and stuff.
Because they genuinely can't find their way back.
Because they generally couldn't find their way back.
And you like the jungle?
I love it. I really love it. It's filthy. The first week is hard because you're like soaking wet all the time, and the only time you get dry is like at night. You change your clothes, so it's almost like putting pajamas on, but it's another uniform if you like. And you put trainers on because you've got to have something on your feet just in case you do need to move. And then in the morning, you put your soaking wet kit back on, which is absolutely horrible.
That's not dried out anyway.
No, it's soaking wet. Everything's packed, so it's all in your burger, and then it's hilarious. I love it.
So you love the jungle. What would you say was the hardest thing you did? What was the hardest point?
I don't know. Once the hills are hard, the jungle's very, very hard, and it's very hard fitness-wise as well. I mean, there's like 12 and 12. It's like somebody turns a switch off when it gets dark. It's just like all of a sudden it's light, and then there's like somebody turns a switch and it's black. And I found that sort of relaxing, and listening to the wildlife and stuff. I've always been into my wildlife.
Roger, so when did you, obviously past selection, when did you start travelling? I know you've been to the jungle. When did you actually start going to all these places around the world and stuff?
Literally, as soon as you pass selection and you get badged and you do like a few different skills and you go backwards and forwards doing courses, but almost straight away as soon as you finish selection, yeah.
Was that exciting, or is it something you wanted to do?
Yeah, it's something you wanted to do. I mean, you're travelling all over the world doing loads of different things and having a good time sort of thing, you know.
You've told me a couple of bits, but tell me a couple of things have stuck in my head. What's the time where you've been, oh shit, where you've gone, oh shit? Has there been moments in your life where you've been like that and you've gone, oh God?
I think a parachuting one, I thought I was going to...
That's what has stuck with me.
As wipe out there, yeah.
What happened there?
We was doing what's called hey-ho, which is high altitude, high opening.
Okay.
And I jumped out, and there's sort of newish parachutes. And it come out, and I had like half a parachute. And I was on the radio because you're 5 miles up because you're on oxygen and everything on the radio.
How high are you at this point? What are you jumping out at?
5 miles.
5 miles high?
25,000.
Wow.
And I had like half a parachute. And I was on the radio, and I said, look, I'm going to have to cut this away. I can't clear it. It won't open. So I cut that one away, and the reserve was exactly the same. And
what came out half open?
It came out half open. And I was over water, and I said, shall I just stay over water and accept what's coming? And he said, you're going down quicker than you think you're going down.
Is this daytime, nighttime?
This is daytime.
Yeah.
It was just a training jet.
Yeah.
So he said completely collapse the parachute.
Midair. This is whilst you're free falling.
This is what. Well, I've got half a parachute, so I'm going down, and you don't realise. Same with the plane, you don't realise how quick you're going down. So I collapsed the parachute after he said. I said, "Are you sure this is my reserve? I've got nothing after this." And he said, "No, do it." So you completely collapse a parachute because the wind needs to come in the front rather than a round parachute. The wind comes underneath and pulls you up, whereas a square parachute, the wind comes in the front, open sails, and you get your lift from there. So you have to stall it, as in stop it going forwards, and then the parachute will just close in.
Yeah.
And I just shut my eyes and just collapsed it, and I could feel myself falling, and then you let up, and luckily it inflated. So it was just...
Was that one of them moments where you went...
It was one of those moments, and I got down, and he said, do you want to go again? And I said, no, not today, I'm not.
How many jumps would you say you've done over the years?
I think in all about 500.
500 plus jumps.
500, and that was the only malfunction I had in 500. Wow. So, I mean, a lot of them are good fun ones, and it's same with all the military, you push yourself to the limit, so the fun ones are great. But when you're doing that sort of height, 25,000 feet, pitch black, at night with oxygen goggles and everything steaming up, freezing cold, and you just fall into an abyss, it's not fun, but you just do what your training sort of kicks in. So, I mean, all the time you do so much training, everything is just like second nature to do almost everything. So you don't really think about a lot of things until after the fact. Yeah. So if you have a bad experience, you just crack on and do what you've been trained to do, and then at the end you go back and think.
Do you ever sit down and it keep you up? Do you ever think, bloody hell, that was close? Or, wow.
You mean, do I get problems at night?
Yeah, it's like, sometimes I remember when I had my car crash, and look, I'm mentally strong, believe I'm mentally strong. When I had my car crash, I remember the noise for probably 3 months after. And it's not something I was fear. I'm not scared of cars. I'm still not scared of driving quick. But I remember the noise of crashing. I remember the noise of the car flipping and going through all the trees. And I remember when I closed my eyes, all I could hear was the noise. I heard so much noise for so long, it just annoyed me. And I was like, why? I'm not scared. I'm not bothered. But it tormented me for months, I reckon. Do you ever lay there and think, hell, that was a bit...
I used to have a lot more nightmares than I do now.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've all got mental problems, I think. It's how you deal with them. And I think I've coped quite well. And part of working with animals, whether it's these or the ones that I've done before in Africa and that, I think puts me at ease and just...
That was what I was going to get on. What did you do in Africa? We talk about Africa. You spoke to me a lot about Africa, and I enjoy listening to it. And I know you work with dogs in Africa. This was after the military, wasn't it?
This was...
I know you did military in Africa. Did you do military in Africa?
Yeah.
And then after you left and you were done with the S.A.S, you then did a lot of free work, didn't you?
Because my passion, even as a young child, I remember I was just well into like David Attenborough and wildlife and everything like that. And I thought, well, I'll put this skill into that skill. And I went out and I was teaching anti-poaching.
Yeah.
And then because I've got my dog qualifications for tracking and apprehending people, and detection and everything like that, then I could put almost the three skills into
together.
So I went over to Africa and I spent a few years in and out of different countries there, training the teams.
Catch many poachers?
Yeah, there's a few been caught. You've been caught and arrested by the guys and everything like that. I try not to get involved. I just train the guys and advise them and everything like that. And then they do they do all the work sort of thing. And I'll just assist them and advise as they go and do this, try this, do that and everything. So, I really enjoyed it out there. I mean, but a lot of it was training and a lot of it was living in the bush. I think the longest was 3 months I spent in the bush training. I think it was about 40 guys on my own. Yeah. So I just had a tent on my own at night, and you just sit there and you...
Was that like
everywhere?
Different to the jungle or similar, or?
No, it's different. You got a lot more things that want to kill you. You have to be careful with snakes getting in everything from getting in the sleeping bag, checking your shoes in the morning. You can hear elephants at night. You can hear lions come in past the tents and everything like that. I mean, you're sort of safe-ish and we're all together as such, but it still puts you on edge.
Yeah.
And I know a friend of mine was killed by an elephant a few years back, so I'm very wary of elephant. I've had a few serious charges. And they
look a nice animal, but obviously people I don't think appreciate how dangerous they actually are.
they're very dangerous, but they need to be left alone.
Yeah.
As such. And part of this, I think, is humans are hitting 100 elephant a day still now.
Yeah.
All over the world, and 100 a day is a huge number, and obviously the elephants are getting wise for that and the hunting and stuff like that, so they've got a dislike for humans as such.
Which you can understand.
They don't know how vulnerable we really are.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can stand there and we'll get together. I've done it on a run with the guys, and we've just shouted and clapped and that, and we're just pushing elephant off.
Yeah.
If they just knew how vulnerable we was, it could just go in and slash us, vehicles and everything.
Sad, isn't it, really?
You know, I mean, it is a sad case. There's a lot of animals are losing out big time out there.
What would you say you took away from the military? Because obviously you did, when I say military, you did 23 years, didn't you, altogether?
Yeah. 22 years, and I did 2 years in another military as such. That was more of a training role. So I've done about 24 years in militaries and stuff like that. The thing I don't understand in, I say, civilian street, if you like, working like this, and it is why I like to work alone sometimes, is loyalty is not as strong as in any military or anything like that. You can't rely on people. You as much as you can in the military. You can ask somebody in the military to do it, and I would never think again. I know it will get done. Whereas civilian street, you might ask somebody to do something, and then you tell them, and then it still doesn't get done, so you end up doing things yourself.
So for me, what I've learned more than anything, and from you, which I've took away a load of so much lessons from you, is that level of discipline and commitment that you did. You did 24 years in the military. You committed to it. You did very well. You were in the S.A.S. for a long time. You can't do that without a level of commitment, sacrifice, and obviously structure in your life. I'm trying my hardest to implement the things that you've done into business. That's one thing I've learned. If I can implement the structure and the life that you've led and done into the business, into any business in the world, I think it's a successful business.
You can push a lot of the skills onto businesses like this, and I'm not just saying this because you're sat here, but I wouldn't be here if I didn't think we had the best dogs, the best trainers, and the best setup going, both for the dogs' welfare and their training and what they're passed on to do and go into their homes and everything like that. If I thought it was shit, I wouldn't be here. I would just...
I know that. I know you don't need to be here. I know you don't need to be here, but I know you as a person now, I believe, that you'll not stop. You love being active. And I remember when we did Brecon together.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, how... Not because you're old, right? But how is Roger, way older than all of us, doing it so easily and making it look so easy? And you did more than all of us, because wherever we were, you went up and down and up and down. You actually did way more than us. When people were crumbling, I'd say crumbling, they were like, wow, the wind, the snow, the rain, the hail was hitting you. And I saw young people struggle massively. I look back and I just remember you walking up and smiling. And going up, I was like, it motivated me to go up, but it also really, I don't know what happened to me coming down, but I felt different. I felt like I could do it 100 times over. And I think the main thing was just watching you and seeing how you made it look. And I learned there that it was all about, I'd say, probably mindset.
A lot of it is mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, I'm not saying I'm fit. I'm sure there's some guys that are a lot fitter than me. But my determination, and I won't give up.
Yeah.
I'll never give up. And
I learned that.
I must say, I did find that very easy. And that's probably why I was laughing. I know, I don't mean it in a nasty way, but I can look at people and see them struggling, and I think this is actually easy, you know. I find it easy.
That's what you need, though. Like, I need that in my life. I've always been a person that pushes as much as I can. I went through that at a time where I just had an operation, so I wanted to put myself in the deep end. more than anything. But I'd love to do it again this year, well, 2024. But I want to make it I want you to make it harder. And people ask me,
we can make that harder.
Yeah, people ask me why. Why do you want to do it? And I want to push myself. I want to try. I do apply good discipline, but as you said, you made a valid point before. When you ask someone to do something, it's not done. I can't understand it. I can't work out why. And you'll see over the last, well, even you've been here a period of time now, you'll see that people come and go. A lot of people come and go. My ambition and what I want to do more than anything is try build a team like you've done, like the way you work, the way you've worked in the military, the way you worked in the S.A.S. To have a team that you can trust, to people by your side who you know will do what they say they're going to do without having to check the work. If you can put a small team of people like that together, I think we're unstoppable because we've done a lot with the dogs so far, but a lot of people have come and gone. But the value that you bring to not only the company, but to my own life is just priceless for me. I've learned a lot, massive amounts from you, I'd say, and I still learn every day from you. I love going on trips with you because I can sit there and listen all day, and I genuinely take it all in. So I really want to put in place what you can bring. I know you very much like to, you don't like conflict. I know that. You don't like, you'd rather do something yourself. Yeah. That's the type of person you are. I see that. You would rather look at something and go, it's not done, so I'll do it. I would really love for people to respect that and just do it rather than not do it and just be sort of disrespectful, I would say. Because they know you're going to do it. Yeah. Because I've seen you do it. And I've seen people leave stuff and then you do it and just crack on with it. But how do people learn from that? Because no one's going to apply your morals.
I think it's like, I mean, I know you know I've got mild Asperger's, and yeah. I find it hard to just like now is to just do it myself. Then I don't have to speak to anyone.
You know, I found hilarious.
I can't into it.
You know what cracks me up the most? In situations where people aren't doing the job, you almost go, not shy, but look, you could say look a bit like out, not in your comfort zone. And I find it mad because for a fan that's jumped out of planes, been in the jungle, been all around the world, you've got some people that are just not doing a simple task and you don't want the conflict, which I find funny because you literally have, well, say no fear. Of course you've got fear. Everyone has fear.
Yeah, yeah.
But the things that you've done are incredible. People wouldn't even dream or even like consider doing as close to what you've done. So it's funny because that's where, would you say that's where the Asperger's kicks in a little bit?
I think so. It's got worse since I got out, actually. And I've got, really is no off switch.
Yeah.
So if I start on someone, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah.
And I know my sarcasm is just like second to none, even in the military. It was just horrendous. And I don't know if people would get it in. I just get worse and worse.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just won't switch off, and that's why I find it easier. I'll just go and do it myself rather than absolutely bite their head off and just won't stop. And you go, well, all they've done is not pick up a shit now. It's like, and you've literally shoved them in the bush. You know, it's. Would you don't want to get into that area, sort of thing. You know.
Would you say that's where the animals help you?
Oh yeah, I do.
It's just you and the animals. With the dogs.
When we walk the dogs in the morning, I usually pick the same dogs for a couple of reasons. One is, I literally know the dogs that I walk, the shepherds that I walk, I literally know where they're going to go to the toilet. Yeah. I know how they're going to behave if a car comes, if somebody walks past. So I know everything about them. And if they don't do something they usually do, then is there something wrong with them today, sort of thing.
Do you know the behaviour?
Their behaviour. Yeah.
Which is a skill set. That's a skill set.
The other thing is, I talk to them probably more than I speak to the people in work. So that's why I walk on my own. I mean, I must get back and the dog must think, dude, you need to be sectioned.
You know what the thing is with a dog is, this is what...
They're non-judgmental.
They don't care. They don't care. No. I found that it doesn't matter what you have, where you are, where you're walking, what you've got, money or anything, even environment that you're in, you can walk with that dog anywhere.
Yeah.
Say what you want to the dog, and the dog's just grateful for you being with them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's still special to this day about dogs, so I still love working with dogs. But what would you want to do? Like, say, for example, you always ask me, and I find it amazing that you still ask me, I want to do more decoy, I want to learn, I want to still progress and still... What do you want to do? What do you want to do in 24? What would you love to achieve? I know, look, for me, I love going away with you from a whole different level of reasons, mainly the knowledge, and then secondly, the value that you bring to customers in terms of security and layering the security and advising them is incredible. Like the ones that we've done in France and the ones that you've got up and coming in the Middle East. I think the value there is incredible to have you on board.
Well, I mean, this sort of way I look at that is I've done a lot of bodyguarding as well. And to me, these dogs, which you go into families, are almost like a four-legged bodyguard.
Yeah.
As such, obviously they can't relate to a lot of things, sort of thing. But so I can advise where would you use them security-wise, sort of thing. How would I set them about? How would I put them here when they're going to sit in a restaurant or whatever and everything like that? So I sort of enjoy that aspect of it.
Do you enjoy the planning side of it?
I do. I mean, like I said, I've told you I want to do sort of more decoying and that. You never stop learning. Even in the army, even as high as I got, I mean, I was a staff sergeant in the S.A.S. There is no such thing, and a lot of people will tell you from Hereford, there is no such thing as a fully trained soldier.
Yeah.
There is always something. And no matter what I bring here, I've got some qualifications, tracking security dogs, detection dogs, and I've worked them operationally. So I know what they're like with a live bite. I know what they're like on a track where you don't know where they're going and it hasn't been set by you. So I know how they're going to operate there. I just enjoy that sort of aspect of it.
But you made a good point.
I would never say I know that much about them. There's just loads of people here that know 10 times more than me. That's why sometimes I'll sit there when you're doing protection, sit, watch, listen, learn.
You can always see your observe everything. Even when we're away, I can see your observe everything. I can see when we're stood with clients and you're looking around and you're observing the environment.
Oh, I know it.
I always know where you're looking at weak spots, vulnerable spots. Because I always step outside the box and I do it on a perspective of I try look at where they can be broken into.
Oh, yeah.
But I see you when we go places, especially when they've got their own bodyguards and everything, analyse everything. I can see you like a computer. You digest everything, you analyse it. And then the funniest is when we ask you a question after and you know everything. The places where they could be broken, the vulnerable positions, the lack of good quality people that they do have.
You can see a lot.
You can see everything, and I find that fascinating. But what you've just said there is a really amazing point. There's no such thing as a fully trained soldier.
There'd be no such thing as a fully trained
dog trainer. Because every dog
if
is
the dog
different.
throws another funny at you,
and it happens.
Somebody must know.
Still to this day, every week something happens where I go, okay, it's a new one.
Yeah.
So even if it's a slight behaviour, it's like people. You meet people, and each week something will shock you in a good way or a bad way.
A simple one with I can't remember which dog it was. It turned funny on one of those luminous workman's jackets.
Exactly. Never seen it in my life, and I remember it and going, "Wow, 14 months, never seen that." And it happens, and you go, "Wow!" And then it's a challenge then to overcome it, which I enjoy that challenge because now I've got something to fix, and now I've got something to overcome. But that's fun, that type of stuff. So what would you? We've got a big year in 24. We've got a big year. We've got a lot of big plans. What would you want to achieve in 2024? I know you said something about, I know you want to write your own book.
Yeah, I do.
Is it more of a diary? It
started off, I had one of my children who unfortunately was killed a while back. His son, my grandson, asked about the family tree. He absolutely knew nothing of it because I suppose in my younger years I was a bit of an arsehole and I didn't pay as much attention as I should have done to him. And now I'm paying massively the price. Now, even daily, I think about the mistakes I've made and things like that, and with my children. And I just thought it would be a way, rather than sit and talk to them, that here you go, this is how it happened. This is the way my life ran. It's not a big, and I would never blow it up to be a big. I would never say I've worked with a lot of heroes, but I've never been one. But I'd like to explain to my children certain things that I've done, and this is why I did this, and this is why I did that, and I don't know. I think it will work out. And everything I do is I never get offended by it. Anything anyone says, even if somebody goes, "Oh, that was nasty," I don't get offended. And the sarcasm that would come out, so it'd be more sort of a funny side of.
It's just who you are, isn't it?
Happens, yeah.
I think what you want to do with a book, I'm doing with Odyssey. It's the same thing. The only thing is it's digital.
Yeah.
That's all. It's just digital.
It'd probably be easier because I could sit and talk to, I don't know.
a
camera and
I don't find much.
somebody would have to throw it on paper or something. Yeah.
I mean, I'm dyslexic and I've got, I'd say, some ADHD where I can't sit still or focus on anything for long periods of time. The only time I can really sit still and listen and take everything in is probably when I'm talking to you, because whatever you say and the things that you've said interest me massively. I think a book from yourself would be something that people would love. And I think it'd be a great thing. Like I say, Odyssey give me a load of benefits for myself. God forbid anything happens today. If I die today or die tomorrow or a week later or a year later, whatever, it's kind of a diary of what I've done. Before Odyssey, what really do you have apart from some old pictures? I don't really have much. So for me, like the videos, for someone to look back at and go, wow, there's like 20, 30, 40, 50 episodes. Yeah. Look where they went. Look what they did. There's a bit about that person. There's something. There's some history. Because like you say, a family tree means something to someone.
Some of the things I'm most proud of is actually since I got out of the military, it was in Africa. I made three I put a load of photos together, nothing like acting or there was not a lot of things. It was just photos I put together for music sort of thing. And that, again, that was to show the children what I've been doing for the, I mean, I say children, you know, some of my kids are like in their 30s and stuff like that, you know. But it was just so they could see what I'd been doing out there, and I just haven't gone out there, and even though I was brown as a nut, you know, I just didn't go out there and sunbathe. I go native quite quickly. So it's, you know, it was just something I was most proud of, and because of the wildlife, and that's why I loved it so much. And it was putting so many skills together.
I think this year, like, well, 24, I think my biggest plan is to put as much discipline and structure that you have, and for you obviously to help me with it, into PDW, and to progress, because I still believe we're at the beginning of the business, even though we're quite a long way in. I still believe we'll just progress each year, and we could be better and we could do better. And I think next year is the year for it. And with you on board, and you've seen how everything works here, you know how everything works, is to keep pushing and, like you say, or a little bit further.
I've always found it, even on the early days of in the army, and even then there's certain places you work in smaller teams. I've always thought a small elite team is a lot bigger than a big one where people are just like, oh yeah, I'll do this when I'm ready, sort of thing.
The fact.
Whereas if you've got everyone who's just straight down the line, you literally need to say nothing and it just gets done.
That's what we need to apply.
A lot better.
And I think that's what we need to apply here. So when people always ask, how come so many people have come and gone? It's just because they don't fit into the team. And I think I'm not going to hang on to people who cause problems. I don't think we should.
No.
But I really want to make a better team than we already have next year. And I've got a lot of trips planned for us.
That's good.
So by the end of 24, I think we'll probably have your book done. I think we'll get it done. I think we'll get it done.
I keep starting and just throw a chapter in there. That'd be a funny one. I'll chuck that one in there, sort of thing, because I've got a load of funny stories that have happened as well.
In the military,
both in the military and out. I mean, sometimes biggest laugh and the biggest fuck up. So, you know, it's just you can find something funny in everything, and like I said earlier, it's not until you get back and everyone's like relaxed a little bit, you think, oh, shit, that was close.
Yes.
You know,
I think that's what people look on a
spot sort of thing, or that was when it's best.
I think it'd be nice for you to do that in 24. I think you start writing them down. We already have a small plan in place.
Yeah, I've got sort of like little stories I know would come out well in certain.
Good. I think what we'll do is in the new year we'll catch up. We'll do this again. And see where we've been. I think we've been doing an Odyssey. We're still gonna do a form of Odyssey, but let's see if we can implement all the things that you've done into protection dogs this year, and hopefully become better than what we already have done.
Well, 2024, dare I say, is my 60th.
Yeah.
And something else I've always said, apart from, you know, you never work a day in your life if you enjoy what you do, is you don't retire because you get old. You get old because you retire. And just one for Joe, I'm in my prime. He asked me to throw that in, so put down the line. So
that's it. You're in your prime.
I'm still in my prime. Yeah, I can still buzz about with the youngsters.
Well, you do.
I mean, running with those young Africans, I think I was 50 at the time.
Yeah.
So I was 50, and they used to call me Mzungu, which is Swahili for white man.
Yeah.
I look at the Mzungu, he's 50 years old, and they're all like 25-year-olds. So I used to smash them, just hammer them, really hammer them. As soon as they said that was it. Get your kit on, let's go for a run, and I can hammer them. But
I think we need that same attitude next year with everybody at the team, and I think I want everyone to keep posted, because I think if we can do another Brecon, but make it a lot harder, we'll see some people struggle this year, but also better themselves.
I just wanted to sort of
You tested the waters,
ease everyone in.
Yeah. This time,
I think the weather helped. I know a lot of people say it didn't help.
No, it helped.
It helped, because you see it hard at the top there. Then
I think you stay tuned, and in 24, we come again.
We go again.
We go again.
Always.